hopefully you enjoyed that. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Arjun, and on Friday I got a chance to watch Deadpool and Wolverine, so this is my full spoiler-free review of the movie. Now, since the beginning of the year, this has been one of my most anticipated films of this year, but the closer we got to it, the more excited I got for it. So much so that I started avoiding a lot of the trailers because I did not want to know who was in the movie. I didn't want much of it spoiled for myself. I reacted to the first trailer and then the first teaser, those two when they came out. But after that, I didn't react to anything because I just didn't see anything, because I chose to stay away from it. So you could assume my expectations were really sky high. Did it live up to those? I'll let you know in a minute. Let me know down in the comments, what did you guys think of Deadpool and Wolverine? If you saw it, how excited were you to watch the movie? Were you excited as I was? Or were you someone that was a little more skeptical going into it? I'd love to know your thoughts. With that said, I'm gonna get started with my review. And I will say that although my expectations were super high, and I do think this movie was really great, I don't think it was good as I wanted it to be, and as good as a lot of the reviews were saying it was. I also think part of your experience with this movie really depends on how good your theater is and how excited the people in your theater are. Because for the most part, my theater was pretty dead. There's not like many people screaming or clapping or going crazy whenever certain things happened. Like I wish there was. Like I out of everyone, maybe I heard like myself and a couple of other people around the theater cheering at a few moments. For the most part, I didn't really feel the excitement in the room that I wanted to, that I felt in something like Spider-Man No Way Home, or Avengers Endgame, and something like that. With that said, though, I do want to talk about the movie itself, and I think that this movie is really an experience. You're going into this movie for Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, obviously, but his interactions with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Now, a lot of people were worried about, how they're going to follow up with Logan, and I do think they acknowledge that really well. I don't want to get into it because it's spoilers, but I think they did something really fun with the whole idea of what happened in Logan and then what happens later after that. And I think they respected the legacy of Logan while also bringing back Hugh Jackman as Wolverine in an interesting way and making us care about him as a character. Now, I'm trying to be as vague as possible because I don't want to spoil anything, because I'm trying to keep this review spoiler free. I may do another spoiler review in the future just to talk about like a lot of the details in the film. But I do think that the banter between Deadpool and Wolverine works really well this whole film. Basically, you get that throughout this entire movie. And that's really what the whole movie's about. It's really between the two of them, and they're our main characters the whole time. It really is Deadpool and Wolverine. I thought it was going to be more so a Deadpool movie, and then Wolverine's just kind of going to be a side character that's present throughout the film. But no, it really is. It's just as much about Wolverine as it is about Deadpool. Now, on a story level, this movie has a lot of issues, and I understand people that don't think this was a very good movie because of that. For me, I did have quite a few issues with the story, but at the same time, I was able to overlook a lot of them because I do think it was a very entertaining and fun time in the theaters. Because the movie basically revolves around Deadpool trying to save his timeline, his universe, as the TVA steps, and you see that in the trailers. And he's trying to save his universe, and the whole idea behind why his universe is falling apart and why he has to go on this journey with Wolverine, all of that is really kind of not thought out very well. There's a lot of plot holes, a lot of issues. Again, I can't go into those really well. But if you've seen the movie, you probably know what I'm talking about. I think the whole explanation as to why his universe is falling apart it just doesn't really make any sense because of the way they structured it, because of the way they explained it in the film. There's a lot of plot holes and issues that you can really nitpick throughout the whole thing. It's the central storyline of the movie, so those issues really bothered me in this film, which I didn't think they'd bother me as much, because when I watch something like Spider-Man No Way Home, that movie's beginning is basically the whole multiverse stuff in that movie starts off because Spider-Man is talking too much while Doctor Strange is doing a spell. That's stupid. But if you compare that to the explanation in this movie, I think the story for Spider-Man No Way Home is a lot superior to Deadpool and Wolverine, which is kind of crazy to say because I do think that especially the way the plot kicks off in Spider-Man No Way Home is pretty stupid. And I think this movie it's arguably even worse. With that said, though, once you get into the core of the story, where you have Wolverine and Deadpool together, hanging out, doing fun things throughout the whole time, it's great. It's really entertaining. I think it's maybe the funniest Deadpool movie. I do think there's like it kind of does drag in the middle. I think the first act of the movie is very strong. It starts off really well. It has a great opening credit sequence too, but it sets things up. Other than, like I said, the way the story starts, and the explanation as to why his universe is falling apart, that doesn't really make sense. But it starts off with a bang. It's really entertaining to watch. I think the third act is a lot of fun too. But in the middle, there's a lot of meandering going on, as they're in this wasteland place. There's cameos and stuff which are obviously fun, but I think that there's a lot of moments that are really slow and sometimes take a really long time to get going. But when they do get going, it's really fun. There's a lot of great action scenes in this movie. I'd also argue this has the best action scenes out of all the Deadpool movies, which is saying a lot. Because I think the first two Deadpool movies have fantastic action sequences. I'll still say, I think the opening action scene in the first Deadpool movie is probably still my favorite action scene in any of the Deadpool movies. The car chase and all the stuff going on in that action scene, it's fantastically put together. But when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, big cinematography, action moments, this movie has a lot of those, especially the scenes between Deadpool and Wolverine where they're fighting. They're a lot of fun. I specifically like the one that there's an action scene in a car, which I think is so good. It is genuinely one of my favorite action scenes in the MCU. Since this movie is technically part of the MCU now, I love that scene so much. And even the third act and the final battle, there's like a one-take action sequence that happens, and it ends with like a really cool hero shot, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. There's some really cool stuff like that throughout this whole movie, that if you're going in for the action, if you're going in for the thrills, there's a lot of those moments. Now, obviously, a lot of people are going to talk about the cameos. I won't spoil any of them, but I think that there's less cameos than I expected, because I think part of that is they showed a lot of them in the trailers, especially in the final trailer. They showed a character that I did not think they should have shown in the trailer. But there's still quite a few cameos. I don't think it's cameo galore. I don't think it's as many cameos as a lot of people were saying there were. But there's still quite a few cameos, and a lot of them are a ton of fun. A few of them are very deep cuts, though, that unless you're really a deep comic book movie fan or a really deep movie fan in general, it won't really make sense to you. You won't understand some of the cameos unless you're someone that really keeps up with movie news, keeps up with comic book movies and stuff like that. I do, so I enjoyed a bunch of them. A few of them were a little underwhelming, but I think that when some of that happened, I was really happy. It just put a giant smile on my face a lot of the time. And that's really what you're going into the movie for. You're going to have a good time. You're going in to be entertained, and I think this movie does a fantastic job of entertaining its audience throughout most of the time. Now, although I think the story for this movie is quite weak, I think thematically it's really powerful and strong at times, because it really puts Deadpool in a position where he really needs to work with Wolverine and figure things out, work as a team together with each other. When Wolverine is like a very reclusive character, he doesn't want anything to do with Wade in this case, in this film. And he's kind of just wants to go back to his own world and do nothing, because he went through something that's horrible. He ended up being the reason a lot of the people in his universe died, and he lives off of that guilt. And then you have Deadpool, who's trying to stop his universe from dying, the way Wolverine's universe kind of fell apart. And I think that's really powerful. And I think on a character level, both Deadpool and Wolverine had a lot of fantastic character moments. And there's especially a scene where Wolverine just kind of goes off on a monologue to Deadpool, which is a really cool scene, really powerful scene. Hugh Jackman's really good in this movie. I think Logan is still pretty easily his best performance. This might be his most fun performance, but he still has a lot of those heavy moments where he's acting and pouring his emotions out, which I think were really fantastic. Even Deadpool has a couple of moments where he's talking about his family, his world, and what means so much to him. And I think those moments were also very powerful, and Ryan Reynolds plays those really well alongside of Hugh Jackman. Like I said, this movie does have a pretty convoluted and weird story that, if you think about it, there's a lot of issues and plot points you could pick apart. And that's not really what you're going into the movie. You're not going into this movie expecting a fantastic story. And I don't think it really has a great story other than the character development that both Deadpool and Wolverine get, and the way their stories pay off, their character development pays off in the final act of the film, I thought was really great. But when you think about the story, the plot, the logic behind everything, nothing makes sense, especially a lot of the stuff in the first half of the film. And like I said, I do think it drags in the middle sometimes. There's moments where nothing's happening for a little bit, and you're just kind of left wandering in this world. And it's fine. I can get through those for the great moments in this film. But again, that's the reason I can't really see this on as high of a level as a lot of other people are. A lot of people were saying this is the best MCU movie since Endgame. I disagree with that. I don't think so. I think when you have movies like even Spider-Man No Way Home, which I think is better than this, or Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I don't see how you put this on the same level as those. It is really good. It is really fun. It's really entertaining. If you think this is more entertaining than those films, I understand. But on a story level, it has way too many flaws for me to put this on that same level. So for my score, I'm going to give this movie an 83%. Again, it's not as good as I really wanted it to be, but it's still really fun. It's still really entertaining. If you haven't seen it yet, I definitely recommend watching it if you like the other Deadpool movies, if you like this style of humor, and you like fan service and moments like that. But if you're looking for a great story, if you want something that's so profound, something like Logan, this is not that. You won't get that out of this. But it's fun, it's entertaining, and it delivered on what I wanted for the most part. It's not as good as I wanted, but it's still really fun, really entertaining, and that's what really matters when it comes to this movie. So those are my spoiler-free thoughts. I'll try my best to make a spoiler review in the next week or so, because I really want to share my thoughts on like some of the specifics and details of this movie. And there's a lot of things we can talk about when it comes to spoilers, but I won't talk about them here. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Let me know down in the comments again if you've seen the movie. What did you think about it? How excited were you for it? If you enjoyed my review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. I'll also leave links to my other social media in the description below, so go check those out and follow me on there. I really appreciate the support. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.